Welcome to the astrology forecast for January of 2025. Boy, the year went fast and we're already started a new year. So, my colleague and fellow astrologer Justin Crocodelsy is joining me today. Welcome, Justin.
Oh, thank you, Liz. I'm excited to talk about January. It's a pretty dynamic month starting off a year, definitely.
Yes. Okay, so to get a hold of Justin, his website's justincrocketelzy.com and my website is alightpath.com. So we're in Capricorn energy. It's a cardinal sign and it initiates. It's Earth and it can be committed. And the ruling planet is Saturn. And the key word is I utilize or the key phrase. And then would you like to say the key words and the cautions, Justin?
Well, the keywords are focus, structure, purpose, purpose driven, time, rules, and regulations, ambitious, steady, patient, cautious. Cautions would be could work too much, workaholic, too serious, and impatient.
And then on January 1st, we have the chart here, and it's beginning the month in the phase of the new moon, even though the new moon was a couple of days before. And the moon will be at 28 degrees of Capricorn, and a Libra ascendant, and a Cancer midheaven. And the planets that are out of bounds this month, we have the moon out of bounds January 1st, and from the 10th to the 14th, and the 24th to the 29th. In Mars, January 1st through April 7th. And Ceres is still out of bounds until January 15th. And an out of bounds planet is out of the bounds of the sun, and it's at a declination of 23 degrees and 27 minutes north or south, or it exceeds that declination, and then they act erratically or different than what they normally would. And planets that are moving into new signs on the 2nd, we have Venus moving into Pisces. On the 6th, we have Mars is still retrograde, but it re-enters Cancer. On the 8th, Mercury moves into Capricorn. On the 11th, the nodes ingress into Pisces and Virgo. So that's a big shift. On the 19th, the sun moves into Aquarius. And on the 27th, Mercury moves into Aquarius. And we only have one planet stationing this month, which is Uranus on January 30th, stations direct.
So that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. And here's an aspect key for those that may find it useful. And so I thought we'd start with the Capricorn new moon, even though it happens a couple of days before January. But, we're finishing up 2024 with the Capricorn new moon and moving in to the new year with a new moon energy anyway. So I just wanted to bring that up. Is there anything you want to say about the new moon? But you can watch our episode on the new moon for
Right.
those that
We
want
we
more
did that
information.
episode. Yeah, exactly.
So January 1st through the 7th, one of the main configurations happening that week is a yod pointing to Mercury, and the two handles are Mars and Uranus. So it's like really focusing some energy on that Mercury. And the first, of course, is New Year's Day. And on the 2nd, the sun in Capricorn is quincunx Jupiter in Gemini. Venus ingresses into the sign of Pisces. Mars in Leo is opposite Pluto in Aquarius exact. It's been, we'll be in and out of that for still some time now. On the 3rd, Mercury in Sagittarius quincunxes Uranus in Taurus. Venus in Pisces will quincunx Mars in Leo. And the sun in Capricorn is sextile to Saturn in Pisces. And on the 6th, Mars backs into Cancer. And also on the 6th, Mercury in Sagittarius squares Neptune in Pisces. And on the 7th, Mercury in Sagittarius quincunxes Mars in Cancer. So we have quite a few quincunxes going on for that first week. What would you like to say
Right.
about the first week?
Well, I think a couple things jump out to me, Liz. Is first that Sun quincunx Jupiter. So we've got that dynamic with communications with Jupiter retrograding, and it's quincunxing the sun and Capricorn means there's going to be a lot of debate, arguing, people just not meeting each other with communications, and everybody trying to take the lead as a Capricorn there a little bit, right? The other thing that jumps out to me is the yod, which you point out, which I think is kind of important. Again, I think that kind of speaks to the communications issues in January. We know that that's when Trump takes over, and so we've got this Mars, Uranus, and Mercury yod, and I think it's about bringing some sense of balance into what people's expectations are, and I would say what we think may happen may not happen, and then what people want to happen may not happen. So I think that's part of that, what's happening with that yod. And that's the two things that really, I mean, there's a lot going on, but that's really the two that kind of jump out to me. What about you?
Well, and it's interesting in that yod, Mars and Uranus are both retrograde. And Mercury, I think it's on the second or third that Mercury will clear its shadow of January. So, make sure that the communication that you're communicating with others, that you have the information correct. There's no misunderstanding, or you think you know what they said, but you really don't, because there's, some miscommunication there. And those yods, it's like it's informing, it's like a little bit of tension there, and then that Mars opposite Pluto, which we've been in that energy for some time now, but it's exact on that day. So pack your patience the first week, I would say. Count to 3 before you blow up, or 10, or go for a walk, or take a 5-minute break.
Exactly.
So anything else you'd like to say about the first week?
No, that's all I would say there.
Okay, then going into the week of January 8th through the 17th, we have a T square with Chiron square the Sun, Moon, and Mars. And on the 8th, we have Mercury ingresses into Capricorn. The Sun in Capricorn is square Chiron. On the 11th, the nodes change signs, and they'll be in the new sign of Pisces and Virgo for the next 18 months. Then on the 12th, Mars in Cancer is trine to Neptune in Pisces. On the 13th, we have a Cancer full moon. And I put 24 degrees, but I think it's 23 and 59 minutes, actually. And then the Sun in Capricorn is trine Uranus and Taurus. Then on the 14th, Venus in Pisces is square to Jupiter in Gemini. The 15th, we have Sun in Capricorn opposite Mars in Cancer. On the 16th, we have Mercury in Capricorn quincunx Jupiter in Gemini. And on the 17th, Sun in Capricorn sextile Neptune in Pisces. So do you want to talk about what jumps out to you on the second week of January?
Well, really, I think I'll go to the big one here in a minute, which I'm really hoping to do a talk earlier this year on. But the one that jumps out to me again is now we had in the first week, Sun was quincunxing Jupiter. Now Mercury's quincunxing Jupiter, and I think this is a continuation of we really, for any of us in our lives, really will have to focus on our thinking and communications and our relationships, during this period. The other thing is the nodes. We're going from the Aries self and Libra relationship, and now we're moving into discernment and logic, reasoning, rationality versus fantasy and illusion and escapism and delusion, right? So I think that what happens with this, I'll just say my key phrase here is that the hens are coming home to roost. I think Virgo's going to step in there and say, nope, it's done with the misinformation and delusion, and it's time to purge some lies and mistruths out of the collective. And so Virgo's gonna have its way, and Mars goes through Virgo this year, so it's going to be an interesting year with Virgo.
Exactly. And so that T square with the Sun square to Chiron, which Pluto is still, conjunct the sun here, and Mars and the moon are conjunct. So, we've got the luminaries involved in this because this is a chart for the full moon on January 13th. And then it's T squared to that Chiron. So I would say that, we can really do some work to share what we know with others, to do some self healing, talk to somebody, do some kind of therapy, whether it's to write things down and burn it in the fireplace, whatever would work for you is good. Or
Yep.
get a therapist. Well, I mean, what works? I mean, find
Yeah.
what works for you. So
No, that's true. That's so true. I'm just going through my mind how many people may need therapists this year. You know?
anything else you want to say about the second week of January?
No, that's all I would say.
Okay, and here's the Cancer full moon. So I thought it was really interesting that it has an Earth and a water grand trine, and they both go off into kites. So that was pretty interesting for configuration. So there's this flowing energy, but there's, still the opposition, which I mentioned before, the sun opposite Mars. So there's a little bit of tension there, but there's still quite a few planets being in cooperation with the other planets, because to the moon, we have the moon conjunct Mars. The moon is sextile to Uranus. Let's see, it's trine to Neptune and Juno, and it's trine to the North Node also. And then the sun is conjunct Pallas Athena and loosely with Pluto. And the sun is opposite Mars. It's trine Uranus, South Node, and sextile Neptune and Juno. So there's quite a few players in this configuration. And we'll
Right.
be doing a full moon show down the road. But is there anything you'd like to touch on with this full moon?
No, I think you got it covered.
Okay, do you want to talk about January 18th through the 24th?
Yeah, so the next week, Venus conjunct Saturn in Pisces, and Mercury in Capricorn sextiles Saturn in Pisces. And then on the 19th, Mercury in Capricorn sextiles Venus in Pisces. And then the sun ingresses into Aquarius. Welcome to Aquarius season, all those with birthdays in Aquarius. And then on the 21st, Mercury in Capricorn squares Chiron and Aries, our wound. Sun conjuncts Pluto in Aquarius. This happens every year. The sun always conjuncts Pluto every year, so it's not unusual. And then on the 23rd, Mars in Cancer sextiles Uranus in Taurus. Mercury in Capricorn is opposite Mars in Cancer. And Mercury in Capricorn trines Uranus in Taurus. The thing that jumps out to me is the Mercury-Mars opposition. I think that's almost the disconnect between what we are going to want, what we're thinking in our heads versus what we want to do, or what's going to push us in a different direction. So there can be a disconnect between thinking and action here. So something just to be aware during this week about what we're thinking, and that it's in alignment with our action. What stands out to you, Liz?
Well, I'm going to expand on that because it's a T squared to Chiron. So Mars is opposite Mercury in this with a T square. So it's, really promoting an opportunity to do some self-healing, or, really put in something and start sharing with other people what you know. Because I believe we all know something that other people don't know. And so that's always a teaching opportunity.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
anything else about this week, or we should go on to the next one?
No, I say let's go to the next one.
Okay, and we have January 25th through the 31st, the end of the month. Venus in Pisces is trine Mars in Cancer. And on the 26th, Mercury in Capricorn is sextile Neptune in Pisces. And also on that day, Venus in Pisces is sextile to Uranus. On the 27th, we have Mercury ingressing into Aquarius. On the 28th, we have Mercury conjunct Pluto in Aquarius. On the 29th, we have an Aquarius new moon, and it's also the Lunar New Year. And on the 30th, we have Uranus stationing direct, and the sun in Aquarius trine Jupiter. So what jumps out at you at this one?
Well, I like that Mercury, not that I like it, but I think it's powerful, the Mercury conjuncting Pluto. I mean, of course, this happens every year, but I think now at this particular point in time, since Pluto is, in those first degree of Aquarius, and we're having all this Aquarius energy with the new moon. I think that's kind of important. I think we could see some changes in social media right around that period of time. And so this is the week to really watch what you're saying online and social media, and just to observe and listen is an Aquarian.
Right. And, if you're doing something on social media that's a good thing, it could go viral possibly. So make sure that it's truth because you don't want it to come back and smack you.
You're right.
And each week it's like changed from, like the second 2 weeks of January, it's like they have a lot more flowing aspects or the supportive aspects that they can be neutral. So it's usually not positive or negative, but they're just oftentimes that they're communicating a little
Right.
better than other times. So anything else you'd like to say about the last week here?
And I do like the Venus and Pisces training Mars and Cancer. I think this could bring some good energy, emotional energy in relationships. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. The whole saying. So it's actually, I think that's a very positive aspect.
I would agree with you for sure. And then I think I have the new moon chart next. Yes, the Aquarius new moon and Lunar New Year. So I drew in the aspects to the moon. We have the moon is conjunct the sun, Pluto, and Mercury, and it's a little wide, but I included them all. The moon is trine Jupiter and square Vesta. So what would you say about that, Justin?
Well, it's interesting that Vesta is going to be in Scorpio. Right around this period of time. During the Aries ingress, and so I think there's going to be some strong intensity and passion with Vesta and Scorpio in the collective, and I think this is going to really highlight with that Sun. Um, trining Jupiter, that can be in a lot of communications right around this period of time, a lot of noise in the collective, and a lot of intensity and passion. That's what that whole aspect tells me.
Right, right. And there's that big conjunction in Aquarius. So, um, but that usually happens the end of January into February that we have, several planets around close to the sun and moving because they'll group up a little bit, but then they spread out. So there's
This
some.
is Yeah, I was. If I could just say really quickly, I would say this is a great time to really, if you're working on a communications project or of that sort. When the Sun trines Jupiter, even though Jupiter is going retrograde, I think it's still a positive thing for communications.
Right, you could find the research that you've been trying to find the answer to. It might just come to you, or you might find the right person to talk to about that. So that could be very helpful. And with its square to Vesta, it's like you might be rethinking or thinking about some projects you want to do about your home, or even in this chart we're looking at the Seattle chart. It is in the Seattle area or the west coast of the United States. So you could be rethinking, when do I want to retire, how do I want to do that. And you might be like frustrated and go, I want to do it really soon, but it's like, like think about it a little bit, don't act impulsively, I would say.
Right.
So anything else you'd like to say?
No, that's all I would say about that.
Okay. And then I have a quote: you are never too old to set another goal or to dream a new dream. And that's by C.S. Lewis. So what would you advise people for the month of January? What are some things that maybe they could do or keep in mind?
Well, I think we're going to still be completing some things, before those nodes change signs. And I think we could see a shift with those. I know you and I are pretty much in agreement that's pretty important. And I think we're going to see a shift where we've been focusing on self and relationship, and all of a sudden things are going to just shift into this modo operandi about Virgo and Pisces. And so I think there's going to be a lot more criticalness, the critic in the collective, and really starting to have this battle between science and creating our own reality, conspiracies. And so Virgo is going to come in and want to clean house, and Pisces is going to be fighting it. So it'll be interesting. I think we'll see a shift. I think it's a big thing. I think it's a good month to complete projects, because it's going to be a bang up of a year.
Well, and I would just suggest that people be patient, have good self-care, take care of yourself. And yes, you might have a big to-do list, but just do one at a time and you'll get them done.
And you may need a therapist.
No, we're right about it.
Right. I think this is my personal feeling as an astrologer. I think at some point, every human being needs to see a therapist at least once in their life, because you need somebody sometimes to listen to you and give you feedback that has that training, so I think it's a good thing, actually.
Right. And they're neutral, and so they don't have any thing in the game, so it kind of, just to have somebody totally listen to you, so that's really good.
Right. No judgment, right?
Okay, Justin and I both have newsletters and YouTube channels, and we always appreciate you subscribing to us. And Justin and I offer consultations in person or on Zoom, and we do 2 or 3 podcasts a month: the monthly astrology forecast, the full moon forecast, and the Chiron asteroid series from time to time. Then I have a series with the Astrology Star Sisters, and we do the dwarf planets, planet stationing, decans using astrology and tarot, fixed stars, and Uranian astrology. Justin and I will be on Talk Cosmos on January 26th at 1 p.m. talking about the Aquarius new moon, and you can join here on my channel and watch that live or afterwards. And then Justin and I are both going to be at Thrive in 2025 at eastwestseattle.org. That's East West Bookshop. And in Japan, New Year's Day is an auspicious day that sets the tone for the rest of the year. So we'll be meeting at noon to about 2:30, talking about goal setting, how to do a vision board, finding your superpowers, a ceremony with a peace flame, and some astrology weather reporting for 2025. And it's $15, and you can sign up on eastwestseattle.org. And then Justin, here's your little thing so you can talk about it.
Yeah, I just do. Just find me on Instagram for my some of my videos, and I'm just, as Liz pointed out, Liz already covered a lot of the podcasts that I'm part of, and there's another one that I'm on, which is the Relationship Guys, and you can find that also on YouTube.
And it's good. I suggest people watch it. And again, to get a hold of Justin, his email is justin.lz@gmail.com. And you can email me, liz@alightpath.com. And we thank you for being here and joining us today. And those that come and watch later on, we appreciate your support, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.